Hello there. Let's have a little chat about Tuesday night's Chris's debate on TVNZ because it was whelming. It wasn't underwhelming, it wasn't overwhelming, it was just there, whelming. And to be fair, both of them turned out to be pretty similar in both what they're offering, what their viewpoints were, and where they'd like to see things go. So, if anybody was going to be the winner of this debate, I guess you could say it's the minor parties who now have an opportunity to go, look how different we are and what we offer from the two main parties. That's not a bad thing. That's why we have an MMP system. What was really fascinating, though, was that there was some choices that were made during the event. Like, we didn't get anything sort of big and heavy that's going to be memorable, like my husband is Samoan, so talofa. What we did see, though, was some, choices. Like the fact that it starts off with Jessica Mutch Mackay going, I love your energy, to Christopher Luxon, but then interrupting Chris Hipkins when he's trying to give a detailed answer around the circuit breaker measures that they're putting in around youth offending. That was really frustrating. But what was even more frustrating for me was when we saw them get so close to getting to the point that they should be receiving. Like Christopher Luxon talking about inequalities in the health system needing to be focused on those that need it most, but not quite understanding that that's one of the reasons why we have a Māori Health Authority, because the outcomes are so much worse for our Māori and Pacifica populations. Or when they both turn around and says, no, there's no need for cannabis reform, and then talking about needing to be tougher on gangs. Also, it was kind of weird that Chris Luxon kind of lumped gangs in with Te Pāti Māori. Doesn't sound like a racist dog whistle at all, does it? But the whole point of gangs and how they get their power is that they work in markets like drugs, that there's no reformation around. Like it just, ah, that kind of thing I found really frustrating. But I think my favorite thing about the whole process so far has got to be Mike's minute the next day. You see, most media outlets turned around and said, look, it was a draw. They were both pretty even. They both did okay at what they were supposed to do. There was nothing that stood out. And Mike's Minute did exactly the same thing. Now, we all know Mike Hosking is far from bipartisan. He is as brown nosed as you can possibly get. But his actual Mike's Minute read through was very much a this is an even spread. It was kind of boring. The people that won were the people who didn't watch. And Chris Luxon. Like he actually finishes off with and Chris Luxon, because of course he does. It'll be really interesting to see what sort of changes happen between now and the next debate on News Hub on the 27th. There will be changes in the way that they both approach debates based on the feedback that they got from last night's one. But in the meantime, we have to sit through another poll, we have to sit through more information like this, and honestly, I can see where the apathy is coming from. So make sure you're doing research into what the other parties have to offer, because that could be a really interesting way to differentiate between what's on the table, what gets into Parliament, and how you choose to vote.